to a late start. We got to a very late start. Nonetheless, we're happy to be here. And we have the difficult task of talking about something that brothers and sisters in the black community are not talking about. They're not about the danger that we're in. You and I, brothers and sisters, are in danger. It's important for us to know how much danger that we're really in. It's so very important for us to know. We don't talk about it. Also, we need to be talking about Willie Howard, this young man that was hung, tied to a post and hung. We need to be talking about him too. So we have some things coming up tonight, things we're going to be talking about very briefly. As I tell you, brothers and sisters, if you don't do something to change the situation on your own, it'll never happen. The same way about our black towns. We got to be concerned about it. We have to be concerned about the black community. If we're not concerned about it, if we don't do something to change our situation, there's no way that we can talk about the white man. I don't want to hear you say anything about the white man. You can do something to change your situation. You can do it. You can do something to change your situation. So tonight we're going to talk about February assassinations within the Nation of Islam. February assassinations within the Nation of Islam. And brothers and sisters, of course, our channel, our show wouldn't be what it is without brothers and sisters supporting our holistic practice. We have products there, so I want to definitely bring that to your attention so that you can be able to support that. And we're going to wait and be patient while other brothers and sisters take their time to show up. Also, brothers and sisters, know that we'll be also meeting at 10 o'clock, 10:30, because at this moment, we're trying to make up for the shows that we missed. And I certainly want to thank all of you who are sending emails and sending donations to keep the show up. It's because of you. It's because of you that we're able to make it. We're able to continue on. I'm so thankful. Thankful for all of your efforts, all of your help. I'm thankful for that. We have to be concerned about our community. If we're not concerned about it, we can't talk about anyone else. So, I'd like to put before you holistic practice. And products. We're going to put the link, will be over in the right-hand corner as you're looking at your screen, in the comment section. And not only that, but you can also attend Imhotep University, where you can learn how to make these products. We certainly want to make sure that you know how to make the products, because we need you to open your own business in your community. This provides a business for you. You can open up your own business. Yes, we will stand behind you in that. We have a lending company that will help us. The only thing that you have to do is buy your products to open up your business. You don't have to pay for the license or anything like that. You sign up for the business and your license will come to you. We will literally send you a license, and you will go to your state or your city to get your certificate of business, right? Business license to run a business in that state. So we've come a long way. We've come a long way. So you can open up your own business. Also, those of you that are not concerned about holistic products, certainly you'll be concerned about eating healthy, eating right, how to eat to live, right? So you can open up your own veggie station. This veggie station business will promote the products of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, us eating healthy. And you will have everything in there from vegetarian to vegan products, including the bean pie. So you will be able to eat healthy desserts, as well as eating healthy foods. And you can open up your own business. Open up your own business. Don't knock it till you try it. It don't cost you any money. The only thing you do is purchase your own products. That's it. The equipment and everything like that is given to you. We come to your area to help scout you out a place. If you don't have the time or know how to do that. We organize all of that. So we help you. And in return, by you investing as a franchise, right, by selling the product, then we're able to help others open that business so it can spread it out. And that's the whole blueprint of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, is to open up businesses for us to be independent and to do for self, brothers and sisters. After all, it has to be us to help us and no one else. For us, by us, brothers and sisters. That's the only way that we're going to make it. The only way that we're going to make it. You stop complaining about that white man and start doing something for yourself. Start doing something for yourself. Stop blaming the white man. It's not the white man's fault that you're being lazy and unassertive. It's not the white man's fault. And don't hate anybody black for doing the best that they can do. Don't do that. You have some sense and learn from them. You learn from them. So you can open your own business. No money down. Open your own business. No money to start up. Open your own business. Open your own business. I'm putting that in there. No money for startup. No money to start up. Open your own business. You'll be doing it. No one else but you. You'll be doing it. Just ask questions, and I will have those questions for you. So that means that the investment for the business and all this stuff is done. All you have to do is find a place to start up. Find your own physical place to start up. And if you look, some of the brothers and sisters that have been on our show in the past still running their businesses, just put it in a populated area so brothers and sisters can see what you're doing. Don't knock the bean pie. When you open up your business, still use the bean pie. That's the signature of the Muslim business, is the bean pie. So we also have Imhotep University, where you can learn natural products, right? That's for natural products. You can go to the University of Islam to first of all join the Muslim movement. And if you're in the Muslim movement, you'll be attending the University of Islam. And Silas Muhammad has a great program in the South and in the West and in the East and the North. So we certainly want to support. I'm discouraged at this time from Minister Farrakhan, because we know that he's letting everybody else inside of this organization of ours. This is a message to the black man. From the black man comes the brown, the yellow, and the red. But there's a particular tinge or skin color for these people. And when we see them, we know them. Because their hair is curly and coarse, right? If it's straight, it's coarse. If it's curly, it's coarse, right? We already know that. But we shouldn't be letting white people in the nation calling themselves black. Shouldn't be doing it. Calling themselves red, calling themselves yellow, calling themselves brown. And I'm just being real, brothers and sisters. We got to be wise. We have to be wise today. God is showing us the fall of this government, showing us the fall of the nation. And you and I have just got to be strong. Go to the black towns and build them up. Build them up. We look like fools marching today. You look like a fool marching. Is that right or wrong? You look like a fool out there marching, getting your soldiers compromised and everything, right? Because you don't know what it is to lead the black community. If you don't have economics, there's no sense you have a defense. What are you defending? There is a defense called financial defense, social defense, right? Religious defense, but it's talking about you helping your people. Help your people build up something, then protect yourself. Protect what you build up. But there's no sense of you having an army and your community is in poverty and you don't own your community. Come on, brothers and sisters. There's no sense in you doing that. So you got to get wise. You have to get wise. And God wants you to be wise in all that you do. He wants you wise in all that you do. So we've got to stand up. We got to get up off of our lazy butts. We have to work. We have to leave the pews and come to the pavement. Once we leave the pews on the religious days, we need to come to the pavement. And we need to be looking within our community, renovating houses. Get these houses. Work with the brothers and sisters that own these houses and pay them that money to get those houses and renovate it. And if they're in debt, if they're about to lose the house foreclosure, then you take over that debt. Take over the debt yourself and rebuild these houses. Do taxes on your business. Do your business tax. Rebuild these houses. Do the best that you can do. Do the best that you can do. And this is what God is calling us and causing us to do. So we can't be lazy and do this. Can't be lazy and do this. Now, I think, and I say this, the whole problem today, the reason why we have problems today, is that we're on the verge of a breakthrough, but now we'll have to destine our own leaders for centuries, for hundreds of years, and even thousands of years. I must say that when our brothers and sisters came in touch with the beast of the ground, and I have to say that, because some beasts are black and white today, red and yellow and brown, right? But in the beginning, before they were possessed, if you understand what possession is, many of you don't understand what possession is, and I feel sorry for you. I really do. I feel sorry for you because you don't know what it is. But to be possessed is to inhabit an individual or soul's will, desires, and wants. It's the lust of the eye, lust of the flesh, and depravity of life. Right? This goes against your religious countenance. Your holy countenance should be salvation for the whole of man. But you can't save someone or speak righteousness to someone who is doing evil. They'll have to decide that. That's why I say the Day of Atonement was a bunch of BS. It's a bunch of BS. You know it was. I don't have to tell you. You already know it was a bunch of BS. We've got to, the message to the black man is to the black man. As long as the black man is leading it, as long as he's in front of it, and the true black red man, or the true black yellow man, the true black brown man, and the true black man, right, is in the congregation, that means all non-white people, then we're okay. It angers me, it bothers me, and it alarms me when white people feel like they have to be a part of a black administration as a whole. They can come, right, to a basic religious association and sit in that audience, right, under a black leader, but they can't do that in the Muslim movement. Can't do it in the Muslim movement. Now, you can meet at the after service at a common public place. You can meet, but the Muslim movement is a private movement. That's a private meeting just for black people. Come on, brothers and sisters. Huh? Yeah, so they can take the message out, right? The white man can take his message out. We'll meet with everyone that's non-white. We'll meet with everyone that's non-white. Is that right or wrong? But we don't want no white people in there. Now, there's a way. There's a way, but the message for the black man is just for the black man. The message for the black man is just for the black man. We have to be wise. We have to spread this philosophy out and take it into other communities where those brown, red, yellow, and black people could be leaders in their community, and they're able to take the same message, and that way they'll be able to have their culture, be able to have their history and everything attached to it, and all of that will come under the umbrella of the what's called the Muslim Ecumenical Service. And that's what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad meant. That's what he meant. And that's fair. It's not racist. It's fair, so that they'll be able to teach their people and have the history, right? And the religious movement that they'll be under will be one that will motivate that culture, handle the problems of that area. When you go on a Indian reservation, the Indian has his own history of the problem with the white man. Is that right or wrong? They have their own problem. So you find you anoint a brother and a red brother as a representative of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and then have him to build a mosque. Right? He come to get his lecture lessons, but have him to build a mosque on the Indian reservation. Now the Indians could learn from the nation, right? Because there are people, they're attached to us. The true red man could come and have that attachment. The yellow man, the same thing. Go to his community where he's having the problem situations. And now with teaching, that he can go to his mosque with his people and lead his people, right? With the same knowledge and everything, knowing the one that is giving them the knowledge, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Same way, the brown man, what can he do? Go to his community. With what message? Message of Muhammad. The message of Muhammad. Message to the black man as delivered by Muhammad. So that message, right, will come to that individual. Right? That message will come to that individual. Same thing with the black man. He has the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So our message is for us. And they would have in so many instances in Ibrahim movement or beginners movement of the Nation of Islam as it relates to the Native American, as it relates to the true yellow man, as it relates to the true brown man. Isn't that right? As it relates to the true black man. So it would be the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad's message would truly go out to the black people, but there's a way to do that. Because if you don't do it that way, then the white man will continue to infiltrate the black organization, right? And that's red, black, brown, and yellow. You'll continue to integrate it. And we have to be wise about that. There's a way to do these things, brothers and sisters. There's a way to do these things. But over those areas, the leaders in those areas, if it's the message to the black man, then it's the black man's message on the Indian reservation, the black man message to the Mesoamerican or the Mexican. It's the black man message to the yellow man, just like it's a black man message to the black man. Is that right or wrong? The black man should be in front of that, should be leading it. There should be no misunderstanding of that, right? So each one is reaching one within his own culture, within his own custom, within his own race and religion. So we have to be wise about that. And I just want to say that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Let's talk about it. The assassination of the month of February. Because the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was indeed the threat of the Nation of Islam, and through his minister, Malcolm X. And you'll hear me use that term a lot, through his minister, Malcolm X, because Allah had appointed Minister Malcolm to do the work, but the man that the Most Honorable Master Fard Muhammad said that would sin against the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was Wallace. And Master Fard Muhammad said it. He told the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad that Wallace would do it. He said the nation would have to go through that. He said it, but it's a shame. It didn't have to happen, but it would happen because Wallace was wayward and on a wide road of destruction. And he was destroying everybody else around him. He was literally destroying everyone else around him. But these days, we've got to be aware of what's happening in these last days. So, we have to be aware of what's happening in these last days. Last and evil days. These days are evil, brothers and sisters. These days are very, very evil. And I tell you another thing too. We had there's a young man that just got hung. The most recent hanging within the towns and cities. We've got to warn our children that these white people are dangerous. We have to warn them. It is getting worse and worse and worse and worse. We have to warn our children that these white kids are dangerous. They're dangerous. We have to warn them. Who are we to sit back and not warn them? They need to know that if the daddy is racist, then the children are racist. Right? And I don't know any white man or white woman that isn't racist, because racism is the father or the parent of white privilege. Racism is the parent of white privilege. So if the parent is racist, then the children have white privilege. And you have to know that. You have to know it. So brothers and sisters, we have a challenge before us, don't we? We do have a challenge before us. And this is going to be a very short segment, but we have to talk about these February deaths, assassinations, these February assassinations. And we're going to go over it. Certainly going to go over it. Talk about each one of them. Also going to talk about Huey. That death was supposed to be in the month of February, and how all of these deaths are connected to Wallace Waradeen Muhammad, Minister Farrakhan, how they're connected to Captain Joseph and National Press Secretary John Ali. So we're going to talk about that. So we have to be aware of what's happening in these last, is that right or wrong? Last and evil days. There's some evil days that we're in. These are some evil days that we're in. Do you know it is purely satanic to break families when God cautioned us to keep families together? And this is on every scale, whether it be a physical scale, biological scale, sociological scale, psychological scale, religious scale, right? That God's will, he said, as the parents are together, the children are holy, right? That's why he promotes marriage. That's the building block of the church. I want you to understand that. That is the basic building block. So we're responsible for not keeping our children safe. That's our fault. It's not the white man. You know that he's killing our kids, killing our leaders. Isn't that right? If you know that he's doing it and you haven't done anything to tell your child, to make your child aware, then who is responsible for that child? You haven't told your children how to talk to authority, because they should be practicing, right? They should be practicing on how to talk to authority. If they haven't done that, brothers and sisters, that's not the problem. That's not the problem of the white man. We have to understand that. We got to be wise. We've got to be wise. And I think that we've been very unwise. We've been very unwise. But we've got to get better. We've got to get smarter in these last and evil days. These are last and evil days that we're in. Is that right or wrong? There's nothing good about these days. There's nothing good about these days. This is one of the most horrible periods of the 21st century. And people are willing to do anything. It's like the love of money have literally, I don't know how to say it, has possessed people. That's why the Holy Scripture said the love of money is the root of all evil. So much so, and this world is getting so bad that you even got prostitution, right? The world is getting so bad that you even have prostitution on the web now. Literally on the web. So don't you know that we have some work to do? We have some work to do. We've got so much work to do. And it's not just going to happen. Not just going to fall out of the sky. But we'll have to be steadfast. I'll tell you this. Don't change. Don't change. Be steadfast, unmovable, and always abounding in the work of God. Is that right or wrong? We've got to be working while it's day. Isn't that right or wrong? Because the night comes when no man can work. So we got to be working. We have to be working. And not blaming. Everyone wants someone to blame. Don't blame anybody but yourself about the situation that you're in. No matter what the situation is, there's never one side. There's nothing like a person telling a half-truth. Half-truth is as bad, if not worse, than the whole truth. Is that right or wrong? Right? Yeah, you can see what someone else did, but can't see what you did. What did you do? And are you strong enough? Because that takes strength. It don't take any strength for a person to lie. Lying takes no strength. People can tell lies effortlessly. They can tell lies. But are you strong enough? Are you strong enough to tell the truth when it's unpopular and when it involves exposing you? Are you strong enough to do that? That's the question for us today. That's the question for us today. So we've got to be wise. We have to be wise. Now, we have to save the Black community, and we have to have a plan that works for us as we go to save the Black community. The only plan that I know that works for us, the only plan that I know that works for us is the plan of the Muslim movement. Only plan that I know, because it's the only plan that gets to the heart of the problem, the heart of the situation of what we're going through. Absolutely the only plan that does it. There's no other plan that gets to the heart of what we're going through other than the Muslim movement. Because the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad points out what we must do. He points it out. Is that right or wrong? What we must do in order to be successful. In order to be successful, we have to save our towns. If you want to show me how well you can lead our people, lead us economically, financially, save our town. That's not up to one person, but it's up to all of us. For instance, if you got Black professionals in the same town, then they can support one another. People will come to a town that is being built up. People will come to that kind of town, right? And there's a chance for growth. You can have business meetings in those towns. You can blow it up. There's a chance for growth. So you can do those things in those towns. You can literally build up potential, build up resource, build up hope in those towns. You can do it. But if you don't build up anything, right? Because you look crazy going somewhere, running, hoping for something, right? You want something, you're hoping for something. You know, Walmart is very, very intelligent business. They went to areas where Black people were, because you got to have Black people if you want something to be successful. White people already knew it. Why do you think you was brought into slavery? Oh, yes. You were brought into slavery because you could do the work. You had the wisdom. You have the intelligence. You have the smarts. And it just baffles me. It's happening over and over and over and over and over again. And it baffles me that you can't see it. My God. Brothers and sisters, we've got to do better. Got to do better. We want to talk about the death of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and other February deaths that have happened. If you look at the month of February, February deaths, right? Famous February deaths. I should say that. Famous Black February deaths. Should say that. Because everyone attached to the nation, whether they were outside of the nation or without the nation or within the nation, if they were strong leaders, they were killed during this time. We're going to talk about them. First person, we're going to talk about the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We've talked about it in the last show very briefly. To do our catch up, we're going to talk about it again. Famous Black February assassinations, I should say, attached to the Most Honorable, right? We'll just do that. We'll just do that. And notice the month of February, excuse me, brothers and sisters, the month of February is a month that they've given to Black people. So we don't want to overlook that. Now, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is the most famous of those deaths, right? Minister Malcolm, paper-wise, is most famous of those deaths, but remember, Minister Malcolm was turned on to the Nation of Islam and that mentality, that mindset, that the seed that was of black separatists was planted in his mind, a black power, black pride. Those things was planted in his mind by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who was born Elijah Robert Poole. Isn't that right? October the 7th, 1897. So, who lived a great while, right? A great while. February the 20th, lived to be in his 70s. February the 25th, 1975, he ascended, but he was murdered to do so, right? He was murdered. He was American religious leader, black separatist, self-proclaimed messenger, right? Right? Not self-proclaimed in the sense that someone gave him a title or he borrowed the title, but in the sense that he knew that God had sent him forth, who led the Nation of Islam from 1934 until his death in 1975. And I should say until his assassination in 1975. Muhammad was also the teacher and mentor of Minister Malcolm X, Minister Louis Farrakhan, Minister Muhammad Ali, and Minister Waridin Muhammad. Now, Waridin Muhammad is the individual who brought down the Nation of Islam, right? They couldn't bring it down through killing Malcolm only, because when he couldn't convert Minister Malcolm, then they caused the climate of confusion to force Minister Malcolm out. Wallace Waridin Muhammad did this. Most Honorable Louis Farrakhan, the Captain Joseph, and National Press Secretary John Ali. Don't forget Benjamin Goodwin. Benjamin Goodman was sent, another one that was sent in covert operation to dismantle the Nation of Islam, to dismantle the relationship to the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Malcolm. He followed Minister Malcolm over to the Muslim Mosque Incorporated, right? And the OAAU, Organization of Afro-American Unity. And then when Minister Malcolm was killed, the job was done, he went back to the Nation of Islam. These are funny moves. Now, would they welcome him back? When they were killing everyone else, you got to, with a sensitive eye, brothers and sisters, you got to pay attention to what's going on. Then there's James 67X, who declared, the man declared that if Malcolm didn't do what they wanted, they would kill him. So he was causing trouble, right? Agent, provocateur, isn't that right? Causing trouble within the Organization of Afro-American Unity. Right? We know who was with Malcolm because his brother, he tells his story, right? And he looked in the face of those demons, black demons that did the killing, that was sitting in by the government. You already know it. And when Minister Malcolm was getting shot, he was getting shot from the roof. At the same time, the brothers thinking they'd shoot him in the chest. He was being shot from the scalpel just above him as he was speaking. The distraction happened so that they wouldn't see the government agents killing from the top. And when Minister Farrakhan dies, you're going to know that he was involved. They're not going to finger him now because he's an agent. But to throw us off, instead of telling us he's an agent that led the Muslim movement, they helped Wallace dismantle the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad's core movement, to remantle it under different directives and different goals and different objectives, because that's what he's doing. Right? One would tear it up and become Sunni Islam that they introduced before. They introduced it to the brother McGee. We talked about it. So one would do what McGee failed to do, right? Those the earliest stages of infiltration. And then the other would go to not just Al-Islam, but go to rebuild the Nation of Islam under its own purpose and guise, right? And Farrakhan has gotten so to the point that he literally think that he is the voice of black people. You're not the voice of black people. The white man has all of these representatives, and they only want to give us one. Come on, brothers and sisters. That's not the way the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad intended. He sent men out, right? Ernest 2X McGee, another agent, right? Whole purpose was to bring in the Sunni Islam. And I just want to ask you physically and religiously, what does Sunni Islam do for the black man in America? It doesn't do anything. Doesn't do anything. You can make your Hajj and be attached to Sunni Islam, but still stay a nation member, cleaning up your community, right? And being true to the nation of Islam, which was born out of oppression against black people. It was made for the black man, for the benefit of the black man. And there's nothing wrong with that. We have to be able to see that there's nothing wrong with that. We have to be able to see that. So they killed the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He was the main man. This was the main God, black God, right? The main black minister, the main black bishop of the Nation of Islam, or administrator of the Nation of Islam, messenger of the Nation of Islam, that the government wanted to get. We have to be honest about that. Well, they already investigating the death of Minister Malcolm, but they're doing it on their own terms. So I have to tell you what's going on, because I already know that you are led like sheep to the slaughter and lamb before the shearer. I already know. You're not going to ask any questions about what's going on. You're just not going to do it. I don't know why, but you won't do it. You just won't do it. Now, then we want to discuss the death of Minister Malcolm X. Let's talk about this, brother. The death of Minister Malcolm X. Talk about some things that you may not know. Minister Malcolm X, born Malcolm Little, later El Haj Malik El Shabazz. Born May the 19th, 1925 through February the 21st, 1965. Was an American, they say American, forgive me, was an African American or American African or Afro American. Well, I should say American African. And black Muslim minister and human rights activist that's important, who was a prominent figure during the civil rights movement, a spokesman for the Nation of Islam until 1964. He was a vocal advocate for black empowerment and promotion of Islam within the black community. A posthumous autobiography on which he collaborated with Alex Haley was published in 1965. And I think many people understand that. We're not going to go into Malcolm's life as far as the adolescent home and things like that, but I will say this. He was the one man that was blueprinted for the job because his parents were Garveyites. And you find those individuals that have practiced Garveyite intelligence and movement, it was a precursor to what we needed to do. Marcus Garvey pushed the same thing to make black people be independent, do their own thing. That's true. And to support a worldwide organization for the United Negro. That's true. But the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad organized banks and businesses where you be able to have control of what you invest in. You created your own job to be able to have control, and these banks and stuff will bag you. Right? Because the one thing that got Minister Malcolm's father killed was that it didn't have any security. Was that right or wrong? But with the Nation of Islam, there was a army, a militia army. And with any mosque, they're constantly checking you. When you come through the door, they're checking you. When you're leaving out the door, they're checking you. This is very necessary because we have to know exactly where we are. Brothers and sisters, Minister Malcolm was killed with this knowledge to back up the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He could literally bag up the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I think this is very, 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 very important for us to know and say, because if we don't know it and say it, we don't understand that there's a pattern of assassination among our leaders. You have to be able to find those patterns, because there is a formula and algorithm for assassination, no matter what the group is. It's a formula and algorithm for it. Now, Mr. Malcolm was killed February 21st, 1965, after this rift was created. First rift started in 1957. Mr. Malcolm was a part of the rift because the individuals that were put there, and this is at the ousting of the brother we just talked about, after his 2X, McGee. After his ousting, then Mr. Malcolm is coming in, is rising to full power. Right? Is teaching this message to the black man, beautiful knowledge, message to the black man, seeing it change the lives of people, resurrecting them from the dead on the streets, in homes, on the job, in organizations. He's resurrecting these individuals from the dead. Now, he couldn't do it without the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We have to say that. You have to know it. There's no way that it could be done. Muhammad's teaching is what he's teaching. He was so aggressive in it, and we know the history of Minister Malcolm, that when he got out, he said, I can still help the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad best, teaching of the Muslim movement. And he helped the same message, same state of mind and all of that. It's just the government had divided him and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad to make him feel there were two perspectives. But there really wasn't. There's only one message to the black man. That message came from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the Most Honorable Minister Malcolm X was privileged to be able to take the message out. But when the devil get in the details, then there are missteps taken, and our brother made a mistake. He had a misstep, but certainly that was not worth his life. But the climate was created by Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Most Honorable, Minister Louis Farrakhan. It was created by Wallace Muhammad. It was created by National Press Secretary John Ali, Captain Joseph, Benjamin Goodman. Don't forget Benjamin 2X Goodman, because I think that you are forgetting him. He's an agent. See, we can't forget him because Goodman is an agent. Now, and why else would he, after the death of Minister Malcolm, go back to the Nation of Islam and rejoin? Why else would he do that? You got to ask yourself this question. James 67X and the other brother that was arrested for the death of Minister Malcolm, who went back in. All of them that were convicted were, all of them that were convicted, and a few of them that weren't convicted, were a part of this ploy to kill the message of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad that was being guided by Wallace Muhammad. It was a CIA agent, FBI, working in COINTEL, who had Louis Farrakhan, another agent, who had John Ali, the National Press Secretary, who was another agent, Benjamin Goodman, who was another agent and informant, Minister Farrakhan, who was another agent and informant and provocateur. James 67X, another one, he killed I don't know how many people. Then you also have James Best, who was in the nation around the time that Minister Malcolm was to be killed, who flew from Los Angeles all the way over to New York. And they never talk about it. And they killed Minister Malcolm in February. We know that. Now, February 21st, 1965, right? They killed the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad February the 23rd, 1965. Then come Albert Cleage, the same man who warned Minister Malcolm about Minister Louis Farrakhan, and this came from Sister Betty in an interview, and I'm going to find that interview that I did, the paperwork that I did. This is I was doing reporting from a small newspaper that we were writing for, Black Nationalist Network. I also had words from Alex Haley, and those things also in the book, but who said that Cleage and Cleage himself from Beulahville, that was in Calhoun Falls, Cleage himself admitted, and we were there, that he warned Minister Malcolm about Minister Louis Farrakhan. Farrakhan is seen after that making statements such a man as Malcolm is worthy of death, should have his tongue cut out, mailed to the messenger. Also, he says in the second part, this said the paper, first part he did, and he called Minister Malcolm a hypocrite. Named the article was called Hypocrite, and he's worthy of death. Now, he continued to run his mouth in the 60s, 70s, and then the 80s, justifying the killing of the man that he said he loved, whom was his teacher. So he's a hypocrite. Louis Farrakhan is the biggest hypocrite and agent that was sent in by the U.S. government to do this. So you got to stop trusting someone who looks like you. But every time, the key is that they always go to the white man. You look at a Father Flager around him all the time, known pedophile, pedophilist, registered, known registered sex offender and everything, right? Abuser of children. So you have to know that. You got to know it, brothers and sisters. So Albert Cleage warns Khaled about Minister Farrakhan, and this I know because I was around Dr. Khaled. Right? Because we didn't have any trust in Minister Farrakhan since 1986. Even though Minister Khaled had trust, he soon lost trust. And you'll see the speech he wrote, No More Negro Stuff, and all of this research. The research he did, research that Steve Coakley did, research that I did. Minister Khaled was using actual finding and facts. Right? Another brother who found out about Minister Louis Farrakhan, who grew out of that, was and we met him in Atlanta during the debate about the killing of Minister Malcolm X, because this is an important conversation. Back in the 90s, 95, with his name is Conrad Tillett. At that time, it's called Conrad X, or Minister Conrad Muhammad, who's now a Church of God in Christ minister. And he has a Black Power radio show. See? So in finding out the truth, you have very few true Elijah students or pupils that are unfair, because the minute they find out the truth, that they'll go and join Silas Muhammad, or they won't have a part of it at all. But even if they come out of it, they will join Silas Muhammad in the fight. Now, Albert Cleage was killed. The reason they said that Cleage was killed, right, is still uncertain, but it is all the properties of being poisoned. All the properties of being poisoned. Right? Let's talk about Cleage. Cleage, also a friend of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, friend and supporter, who was also in Detroit. Albert B. Cleage. Albert B. Cleage. Now, he was a minister, right? Black nationalist minister in his life. He was killed February the 20th, 2000. He was major supporter of what Khalid Muhammad was doing. He did not trust the minister Louis Farrakhan. He didn't trust him. He was a black nationalist Christian minister, friend to the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, friend to the original Nation of Islam and Lost Found Nation of Islam, and friend to black nationalists who believe in being independent, doing things on their own. He was a political candidate, newspaper publisher, political organizer, and author. He founded the prominent Shrine of the Black Madonna. You know what the Shrine of the Black Madonna is. If you go to Atlanta, you go to Detroit, you go to Belleville, South Carolina, and this brother built businesses and schools around his church. So he controlled business in the black community, also controlled the political opinion in the black community. Shrine of the Black Madonna is of African or Pan-African Orthodox Christian church. Excuse me, brothers and sisters, I know you understand. It's more simply the Shrine of the Black Madonna. The whole name is Shrine of the Black Madonna of the Pan-African Orthodox Christian Church. There's a church building located in 7625th Linwood in Street in Detroit. And that's in Michigan, and it is significant for its association with civil rights leader Albert B. Cleage. Amazing brother. He has centers, bookstores in Detroit, Michigan, Atlanta, Georgia, and Houston, Texas. Also, Beulahville is in Calhoun Falls, South Carolina. All locations are still open and functioning under the Black Christian Nationalist mission. Cleage, who changed his name to Jaramonga Abibi Agimen in the early 1970s, played an important role in the civil rights movement in Detroit during the 1960s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. He became increasingly involved in black nationalism, black separatism. He's a black Christian minister now. During the 1970s, 1980s, 1990s, 2000s. Rejected many of the core principles of racial integration because racial integration is the first move of invasion. You have to understand that. So racial integration or simple integration includes desegregation, leveling barriers to association, creating equal opportunity regardless of race, and development of the culture that draws diverse traditions. Now, what is the need of doing that with black people when they can do it on their own? What the racial integration only gives the white man control of your community, control of your business, control of your investments. And once he got control of it, that money goes over to the white community, right? Unless you have your own banks, your own lending institutions, your own business, your own houses, your own car lots, your own grocery stores, your own gas station, there's no sense in you talking about equality. But with integration, you'll never get equality because the white man is running everything. That's a fact. You got to know that. So this brother, he founded a church-owned farm, Beulah Land. That's in Calhoun Falls, South Carolina, and spent most of his last days there. He was a father of Kristen Cleage and Pearl Cleage. She's a writer. You know Pearl Cleage is a writer. She was married to the mayor of Atlanta and still lives in Atlanta. When this brother passed, we have to talk about this. We can't get totally into it because we're gonna dedicate some time to just Cleage himself. When this brother passed, they're not clear on how he passed, but they talk about him dying from natural causes. That's what they talk about, him dying from natural causes. But the autopsy report would be consistent with poisoning. The autopsy report would be consistent to poisoning. Now, because the white man has gotten away from shooting you now, right? In association with assassinations as late as the 70s, he began to poison you with anthrax and all of that stuff and put stuff in your food, right? Do all this stuff to poison you. This is a move because he don't want to be seen. If he can poison you to get you out of the way, that's good. But he'll need one of us to do it. If not, he'll send somebody in that look like us to shoot you down. So you have to understand that. Cleage warned Khaled about Minister Malcolm in doing the Millions More movement after Khaled was put out of the Nation of Islam, contacted him directly. We're going to also talk about John Henry Clark. We're going to talk about him too, because he began to expose Minister Louis Farrakhan. Government didn't want that. But the next brother we're going to talk about is Dr. Khalid Muhammad. These are famous February deaths. You have to talk about that, brother. And we have other assassinations that we're going to talk about, but these is what we'll start out with. So, Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad was killed in February the 18th officially. February the 18th officially. Now, around there when he was killed was a girl named Kiana Ambush, which means hit target. Which means hit target. You have to understand that. Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad was born Harold Moore Jr., January 28, 1948, and was assassinated February the 17th, 2001. Officially was assassinated February the 18th because, and I'll tell you how strange it is, and all you have to do is get the paperwork. When Dr. Khalid is killed, before he's even dead, the Anti-Defamation League put out a nasty, dirty article called Dr. Khalid Muhammad in his own words. The brother was not yet dead. I'm telling you that. Telling you that is one individual that arrived on the scene later. You also had Minister Steve Coakley, brother Steve Coakley, if he was here, could attest to that. He's no longer alive. He strangely died from leukemia. Strangely died from leukemia. So he was still alive on the 17th. Died officially on the 18th, so around that evening. So, but this was a African, should say American African, an African born in America, black Muslim minister and activist who became a prominent figure in the Nation of Islam. I want you to see the cycle. Look at the cycle of what's going on, brothers and sisters. Became a prominent figure in the Nation of Islam and later the new Black Panther Party after a racially inflammatory 1993 speech at King College. Muhammad was condemned and removed from his position in the Nation of Islam by Louis Farrakhan. Here Farrakhan is again. He also was censored by both the House of the United States Congress. How can this be? How can this be? And Farrakhan and the government is in the same line of agreement when Khalid Muhammad was only trying to defend Minister Farrakhan. This is to tell you, you got to open your eyes and see what's going on. After being removed from the Nation of Islam, he served as national chairman of the New Black Panther Party until his death in 2001 from a brain aneurysm. He advocated black independence and stated a personal practice of anti-miscegenation. What are they talking about? Laws that enforce racial segregation at a level of marriage and intimate relationships by criminalizing interracial marriage and sometimes also sex between members of different races. Now, let me say this. Khalid Muhammad was not for interracial marriages. He was not for interracial marriages. That's true. And there was a reason for that. As a black nationalist, you can't stand for it. In the Nation of Islam, you're trying to save the black family. You'll never save it by breaking it up. You have to see interracial marriage as a destruction of the black family. You got to see it. Destruction of the black man. You got to see that. Even though the children born are that way, at that point, they're confused. You have to understand that. Now, here's another thing, too. If you look at King College, King University is a public university in Union Elizabeth, Hillside, New Jersey. It's part of the New Jersey's public system of higher education as a state-designated research university. You look at King, the girl's name was Kiana Ambush. That is very close to King College. Very close. And we understand that Minister Khalid Muhammad met her. She was from T.D. Jakes Church, another cone, someone who worked with the government. I know this for a fact. This girl, I mean, you see the term king means to get or hit, right? To look into, to tune in, keen, right? But you have to look at the spelling. You have to look at the spelling. It is a synonym, right? The term is a synonym. Right? And so you have to know that it's being used stipulatively, though. Right? Ambush, Keen, ambush. We couldn't find the girl for questioning. The police couldn't find her for questioning. She completely disappeared. When have you known a black person not be able to answer a question? Then she come to give an answer after Khalid is dead. And I want to say this, because we don't have any answer from her, no recording to this date. But when Khalid is killed, she's in a room with him, making love to him. This place came to her. If the place were poison, why didn't she die? That's the first thing. Hashim and Ziga brought the plate, right? Khalid trusted them. They were poisoned to Minister Khalid, we believe, coming out of New York. Because from that point, When he got in contact with us, he was feeling tired and feeling strange at that point. Sexual intercourse rushing through the system. Who was around him most was Hashim Mzinga and Malik Zulu Shabazz. Now, who is Paris Lewis, Malik Zulu Shabazz, Hashim Mzinga is Steve Washington. Steve Washington is already dead, and I know God is going to take care of the other evil person who's putting out the Book of Khaled. God's going to take care of him. And remember, we're God's handiwork. God's going to take care of him. All of us, you and I, are God's handiwork. Every human on this planet belongs to God. But God himself will take care of the other demon that did this killing. And even the others that did the killing, they won't get away with it. They killed the other people. They won't get away with it. You'll soon find it out. God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man sow, he shall also reap. Women too. Whatever you done, don't worry about it. God will get you. God will get you. But we need to be building up the black community. We can't do it without being aware of who's coming into our community or who's running our community. So Khalid Abdul Muhammad was diagnosed with a brain aneurysm, right? When we researched that, he was poisoned. Intracranial aneurysm, also known as cerebral aneurysm, is a cerebrovascular disorder in which the weakness in the walls of the cerebral artery or vein causes a localized dilation or ballooning of blood vessels. Now, Dr. Khalid was feeling fine. They came out with all of these excuses. Of, this happened to Khalid because of this happened to Khalid because of that. They didn't call the ambulance. This man died, throwing up, was sick. The brother said to the sister, don't tell him my name. In other words, give me some help. Get me to the hospital, but don't tell him my name. She waited 10 hours before they called the ambulance. Not only that, but the first person she called was Hashim Mzinga. Hashim Mzinga and Malik Zulu Shabazz are called the Black Nationalist Hitmen. So much so, you go back and read the film that we did with Brother Steve Coakley. He even says it. He said, anybody they come around ends up dead. I remember when they visited Dr. Frances Cress Wilson. Took a picture with her. After that, she was dead in a matter of in between 1 and 4 weeks. So I'm just telling you something strange about that. It's something very strange about that. We got to be aware of what's going on. We got to be aware of what's going on. These are February deaths. Now, there are other deaths that are attached to these deaths. If you look at Huey Newton, Brother Khalid had a chance to meet and know Brother Huey Newton. Plans was being made prior to Aaron McCarthy. Prior to him, because I want you to understand that this Black Nationalist organization, founded in Dallas, Texas, 1989, despite the name, the Black Panther Party under Bobby Seale said, well, they're not a part of us. Now, just look at this. He's another agent that was in on the death of Huey. Just another agent. Because Bobby Seale is no threat to the American government and has never been a threat to the American government. In other words, he's not going to do anything to build up the black community. Not going to do it. He just happened to be around a brother that was so dedicated. See, all the dedicated people are dead. Remember that. Remember that. All the dedicated people are dead. Right? All of us want to live long, but the dedicated people are dead. So the new Black Panther Party, American Black Nationalist Organization, founded in Dallas, Texas, 1989, right? The members of the original party have insisted that the new party has no legitimacy. There's no new Black Panther Party. And how are they going to decide for our generation what we're going to need? You have to understand that. I wouldn't dare try to decide what the generation behind me is going to need. I wouldn't do that. Now look at this. The Anti-Defamation League, as if it matters, Southern Poverty Law Center, and the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights consider the new Black Panther Party to be a hate group. They consider the Black Panther Party to be a hate group. Right? Now the Black Panther Party is good and new Black Panther Party is bad. They're playing you against one another. You got to know that. You got to know that. Right? So there's another agent whose name was Aaron McMichaels, right? Who called himself Michael McGee, right? Now, if you go back, there was another McGee, right? There was another McGee attached to the Nation of Islam. You can't overlook it. You got to be wise. In 1987, Michael McGee, an alderman in Milwaukee, threatened to disrupt white events throughout the city unless more jobs created for black people. He held a State of the Inner Press conference in 1990 at the City Hall to announce the creation of Black Panther Militia. This is Michael McGee. There was another McGee. You go back and look at the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and find out who created the first trouble in the Nation of Islam. His name was McGee. So this is Michael McGee, right? Probably just to change the name, right? Because they use their agents. They use their agents. Okay? And then after which, they cause a situation why these agents are killed. It could have been from the same government basket of names they've created. Right? McGee, the name that be used. If you'll be from the McGee, Operation McGee. You'll be the ones that help break stuff up. Now, Aaron Michaels, a community activist and radio producer in Dallas, Texas, established a chapter of the Black Panther Militia in 1992, but chose to refer to his chapter as the New Black Panther Party. Right? Over time, McGee lost influence over the overall group while Michael grew. This is one agent handing the baton to the other agent. And eventually, it would be Aaron Michaels who took over all leadership of the Panther groups. Now they put in one man over entire organization, which cancels out all other groups. The same thing is going on. Going the entire time. Right? Over time, McGee lost influence over the overall group while Michaels grew, and eventually it would be Aaron Michaels who took over leadership of the Panthers group, now using New Black Panther Party as their banner. Michaels became increasingly radical, and so too did the group. Now, in 1994, here's an opportunity. The government is working on the move. In 1994, Khalid Abdul Muhammad, a prominent member of the Nation of Islam, survived an assassination attempt from former member of that group, James Best, attacked our brother. Following the attempt on his life, Muhammad left the Nation of Islam, and that's not true. He wasn't following the attempt on his life. He was already put out in 1993. He was already put out. Following the attempt on his life, Muhammad left the Nation of Islam, went to Dallas to recover. It was during this time that Muhammad became aligned with Aaron Michaels and subsequently joined the New Black Panther Party. By 1998, Muhammad had seized entire control of the New Black Panther Party from Michaels by filling with former members of the Nation of Islam and other black Muslims. In 2012, Michaels claimed it was at this point that he departed the Nation of Islam. His job was done. Michael's job was done. This same guy, Aaron Michaels, right? Some places his name is Aaron McCarthy. The same person worked for the NSA, National Security Association, that would do border patrol. Same guy working for the government. Same person working for the government. What was the legacy of this organization? Identifies with the original Black Panther Party and its claims to uphold its legacy. The white man didn't want anything like that being formed unless he had to get control of it. When Khalid Muhammad came over the organization, they knew they couldn't convert him. And the only thing they could do is get him out of the way. So, Nation of Islam members, right? Just like, because they had already been over this blueprint before, Nation of Islam members, just like Benjamin 2X Goodman, left out, came with the most influential minister The job was done. He's dead, and they went right on back in. The one to lead the charge, right, to the Muslims coming out of the Nation of Islam, following Dr. Khalid, was a brother named Michael Muhammad. Now, this Michael Muhammad went back into the Nation of Islam after Minister Khalid was killed. He went back into the Nation of Islam, and we have proof of that. We have proof of that. The NBP is largely seen by the general public and prominent members of the original organization as illegitimate, right? Bobby Seale is saying that Huey Newton wouldn't turn them down. I'm sure he wouldn't turn them down, but they use Huey's name when they're describing. They say Huey Newton Foundation members contain a significant number of the original party leaders once successfully sued the group. I mean, here you go, black group against black group. I'm just trying to point it out to you. Now, they say Huey Newton Foundation member, right? Why not say Bobby Seale? He counted himself in, right? But they're dirtying up Huey's name, right? They're doing that, try to show division between Dr. Khalid and Huey, who were friends. Their ultimate objective in doing so to prevent the New Black Panther Party from using the Panther name appears to have been unsuccessful. In response to the suit, Aaron Michaels branded the original Panthers has been wannabe Panthers, adding, nobody can tell us who we can call ourselves. Now, they're going to the same government to sue black people who are trying to get justice, freedom, and equality for black people. This is totally, you have to look at it with your eyes and understand that they were looking at capitalism. The New Black Panther Party is against capitalism, right? The Black Panther Party was against capitalism, right? But this Huey Newton Foundation member are for capitalism. That means that they're not real Panthers. And you have to be able to see it. Last person I want to talk to you about is going to leave because I got to come back before you at 10:30. Last person I want to talk about is John Henry Clark. He was with Minister Malcolm, and John Henry Clark had already pointed out Minister Louis Farrakhan. He was a loyal member of Minister Malcolm. He taught Minister Malcolm on many things. Minister Malcolm loved him. He loved Minister Malcolm. And the OAU, the original members, the dedicated members, like Brother Earl, all of them, they enjoyed Minister Malcolm, was dedicated. Dr. John Henry Clark also loved Khalid Muhammad and said that Khalid Muhammad would have some understanding now that he was out of the Nation of Islam from under the movement to realign the Nation of Islam toward what the American man wanted, not what the Muslim wanted, what the white American wanted. And under Farrakhan, because he started to let white people in the organization. Dr. Khalid was talking about this earlier on when Farrakhan's son, Joshua Muhammad, married this white woman, and then Farrakhan's side was hanging around Father Flaker. All right. Now, John Henry Clark, born John Henry Clark, was born January the 1st, 1915, died July the 16th, 1998, was an American African historian, professor, prominent Afrocentrist. And I'm careful about using that because I know that when he say Afrocentrist, it's a worldwide view that's centered on the history of people of African descent, bias or a biased view that favors it over non-African civilization. So I'm very careful about that because I know what the white man means when he says Afrocentrist. So I know it had to be somebody white to do this page or somebody who looked black that think white to do this page. But the paranoia of creation, a lot of this you have to go in and change. And you can do it. There's nothing different. You can get a writer's permit to go in and change these things. The pioneer of the creation of Pan-Africanism and Africana studies and a professional institution in academia starting in the late 1960s. So I contrast things from that I've seen directly and write them the right way, brothers. Since you have to do that, it's your and my responsibility to make sure that people get real history. He was born John Henry Clark, January the 1st, 1915, in Union Springs, Alabama. He was the youngest child of John Clark, a sharecropper, and Willie Ella Clark, a washerwoman who died in 1922, right? With hopes of earning money to buy land rather than sharecrop, his family moved to the closest mill town, Columbus, Georgia. Counter to his mother's wishes for him to become a farmer, Clark left Georgia in 1933 by freight train and went to Harlem, New York as part of the great migration of the rural blacks out of the South to northern cities. Then he pursued scholarships and activism. He renamed himself John Henrik after the rebel Norwegian playwright Henrik Ibsen, right? He was black. He was black. This playwright was black. I don't care what you see in history. They got him painted white, but he was black. And added an E to his surname, spelling it as Clark. He also joined the U.S. Army during World War II. Clark was heavily influenced by Cheikh Anta Diop, the Senegalese historian, anthropologist, physicist, and politician who studied human race origins, pre-colonial African culture. Diop is foundational to the theory of Afrocentricity. And there is a big difference in African definition to its own term. Okay? Now, which has inspired his piece, The Historical Legacy of Cheikh Anta Diop. His contributions to the new concept of African history, Clark believed that the credited Greek philosopher gained much of their theories and thought from the contract of Africans who influenced the early Western world. And not only does John Henrik Clark believe it, many black historians believe it, I believe it, and many white historians believe it, have come up to that wall and have been honest about it, as much as there have been many to deny it. And that's the reason why they're trying to take over Egypt, which is in Africa, even though the white man says it has never really been a part of Africa. Now, and tried to invade your history by that, but giving himself a place, which is beginning from the Punic War, the beginning of his desire to de-seat you, to take part of your history so that he can have a place other than the hills of North Africa and Europe, or rather the hills of Europe and northern Mediterranean Europe, where he comes from. Now, he was born in Africa and he went over there, right? And he was breeded by Yakub. You already know the story. Now, brothers and sisters, John Henrik Clark was killed the same year that Sister Betty Shabazz was killed. Two people who pointed out Minister Farrakhan, Louis Farrakhan. This sister was involved in a house fire that was supposed to be set by young Malcolm Shabazz, the grandson of Minister Malcolm X. We know that Malcolm's house was supposed to be burned, right? The firebomb. This is a fingerprint fire. There's not a fingerprint of it. There's not a black fingerprint. Black people shoot you. Black people cut you. Not a black fingerprint. Let me correct that. A year before John Henrik died, a year before he died, Sister Betty died. And again, it was supposed to be from a house fire. You know of her daughters, Farrakhan, see that the evil that they did left girls without any kind of protection. But you know about Ilyasha, Adela, you know about Corbila, Gamaliel, and Gamala. You know about them, right? Young Malcolm, Shabazz, all that. We're gonna get into all of that. So Betty was assassinated by fire. Minister Malcolm's home was burned, right? It's not something we do. When he was a child, father got them out. Then his house was firebombed and burned, right? With his signature about the fire, right? This is psychological warfare. We'll make it happen with fire again. Then what happened? Sister Betty, who was involved in one fire where kids could have been killed, got the other child out, involved in another fire that goes on to her death. And these assassinations happening right in our face. Sister Coretta King, how did she die? She was speaking prominent Black nationalism, independence for black people later in her life. How did she pass? She passed. How did she pass? She passed by operation in Mexico under a clinic that wasn't even licensed, under a doctor that didn't have a license for operation, but nonetheless, she was killed. So we have to be wise. We have to be wise. We have to understand what's going on. The movie Who Killed Malcolm X clearly shows the NOI and the government working together. And I want to say this, not the NOI and the government working together, but the government that infiltrated the NOI. The government that infiltrated the NOI. With agents, informants, and provocateurs. We'll put that down so you'll have it. So it's been a pleasure, brothers and sisters. And good evening to our brother, Live Hard Rock Truth. We have to research. We have to continue to research, continue to talk about it and all of that. And I'm thankful to have the ability and intelligence to do this, because we had got to start telling the truth so our people would know it, keep up with our history, so they'll know exactly what's going on. We have to know exactly what's going on, right? It's important. Not enough for the white man to know what's going on, right? He can talk about our history better than we can. That's the reason why he can switch it up, right? He can switch it up whichever way he wants, because we're not being careful. We're not being thoughtful. We're not being loving toward our own people. So we have to be truthful. We have to understand exactly what's going on and understand where we are. You and I, brothers and sisters, are in a very pivotal time in our history. And we better wake up today. We better wake up like we've never woken up before. And understand what's happening to us. Understand what's against us, so we'll know exactly what to do. So, brothers and sisters, I'm thankful to be here. Don't forget to look at our products, be able to support the show. And of course, if you want to donate something to the show, LiberationGroup, right, is there, right? Whatever you do, and please ask us for a product when you do. Ask us for a product. We want to send you something, right? Good, healthy products, right? We want you to tell somebody, for those brothers and sisters creating some good products for the black community, and we got to be with them. They're putting out some good truth. We got to be with them to support them. Got to be with them to support them. So we do this. We don't get paid for it, but we know that the truth has to be out. And we had to be able to catch up with the shows, because we had missed the last 2 days. Been busy seeing patients and trying to do all I can to make sure everything is running well. And we have to do it ourselves. And who am I? If I'm not doing anything, you're not going to do anything. Right? So I want to be an example and then something. And I thank you for the time that you've given to us to be able to say this to you. And I thank Black Nationals Network for all the work that they're doing. I thank the manager for all the work that she's doing. And thank the supervisor of the organization for all the work that he's doing. So I'm very thankful very much. Brothers and sisters, I look forward to coming before you again. And in the beginning, if I didn't tell you, Assalamu alaikum. I love you, brothers and sisters. And I'm teaching you, this is not hate talk, this is love talk. And if I didn't love you, I wouldn't tell you. Assalamu alaikum. Hey, oh, to the way.
it's alright. Just don't let the spin get you down. Things are